So many WordPress themes come with what you call a sidebar. So if I go to 2016demo.wordpress.com, you can see the demo of their 2016 theme that comes in by default with most WordPress installations. Again, there's 2017. In the future, there may be 2014, 2015. There's different ones you can look at, but what I'm trying to show you, if you can't get to this, is basically this section right here. All of this down the right. This is a sidebar. Okay, and so you often see sidebars on blog type layouts, right? So blog layouts will kind of occupy the first 2/3 of the width with kind of your blog title, and you can kind of scroll and see multiple blog posts usually. This is the typical format of a blog. But kind of the right 1/3 is often a sidebar, and it's where you can go and kind of click on categories or search the blog, see a little about section. So WordPress has this functionality sort of built in. We just have to activate it. Okay, so let's learn how to do that. What we're going to do is go into our theme folder under WP Content, Themes, and then Custom Theme. And the first thing you need to do is to register your sidebar. Okay, so we go over here to Functions. So double click on Functions. And we're going to go ahead and just down here at the bottom, add a new section here. And this is what we'll do. We'll say function, and we'll give it a name. We'll say custom theme widgets. And then we'll just add parentheses after that, and then our curly braces. So in here, we're going to register our sidebar. And let me be clear, sidebars are not just for, kind of links to other like categories or, your about section. You can also have a chat widget in here for live chat. You could have links to all of your pages. You could really be creative. And sidebars aren't just for text, they're for what WordPress calls widgets, and we'll look at that here in a second. So widgets mean we can add any kind of functionality to the side. So that's why we call this section function custom theme widgets. Okay, so this is how we register the sidebar. That means we make WordPress aware that we want sidebar functionality. So we say register underscore sidebar. That's a special WordPress function. And inside that function, we're going to put an array. Okay, so it'll look like this, array. And then inside that array, we need to fill it out with some information. And let's line these parentheses up so that they're kind of back to back, just like that. And we'll add our semicolon to close out this register sidebar function. Okay, so inside of register sidebar, we're passing inside of it, in those parentheses, an array. And inside of the array's parentheses, this is what we'll put in. We'll say first name. We'll set that arrow, so that's equal and then arrow operator, and we'll say underscore underscore, and then parentheses, and then we'll say sidebar, and then our custom theme name, that's our identifier, and then over here we'll say ID. We'll line these up, and then we'll say sidebar -1. Just give it an ID for our CSS. Give it a description. We'll do underscore underscore parentheses, and then we'll say add widgets here to appear in the sidebar. And we'll also put that under the category of custom theme. Okay, and then we need before widget. We'll inject some HTML. And the HTML will look like this. Section. We'll add a section tag, set that equal to, and then %1 $, and then lowercase s, And notice the quotation marks here. You need to be very careful with where your single quotes are and your double quotes are. And then we'll give it a class and set that equal to widget, and then %2 $S. Then close that opening tag for the section element. Then we'll say after widget, and we'll just do a closing section element tag. Then we'll say before title, we'll say h2 class equals widget title, and then we'll say after title, and we'll close out that h2 tag. Okay, so let's go ahead and line these up so that they look a little bit cleaner. Line it up kind of with the furthest arrow that you have. I think it's this one. This is just a formatting thing. You don't have to do this in PHP, but it helps make things clear. So now we've defined this function called custom theme widgets, and inside of it we've used this WordPress function saying, okay, we're going to register a sidebar. Now we need to tell WordPress when to fire this function off, when to actually have all of this functionality happen. And we can do that just below here, and we'll say add underscore action. We've done this before. And then inside of here we'll say widgets underscore init for initialize, and then we'll just put in the name of our function, custom theme underscore widgets, just like that. Okay, so you've seen this before, and hopefully you're starting to see a pattern in this functions file, and we'll clean it up later. But basically what's happening is we define our own custom function, and sometimes inside of those custom functions we'll have WordPress functions like register sidebar. And then we'll say add action. That means we'll say when this happens in WordPress. The first one is always part of the WordPress sequence of events. Then we fire off ours, which is this stuff. So all of this code gets fired when WordPress initializes its widgets. Okay, and then same thing here. Okay, when WordPress does their after theme setup, then we fire off a function called custom theme setup, which is this code in here, which is where we register our navigation menus, add our title tag to our theme, and so on. And then same thing here. When WordPress enqueues its scripts, we have our custom theme styles fired off, and this is where the bootstrap code and our custom CSS over here in style sheet get fired. Okay, so that's all we're doing. We're just adding a custom function and then having it fire when WordPress does its widgets init function. And just remember, this register sidebar, how did I know to do this and fill it out with all of these special names and IDs and all that stuff? You simply learn this stuff over time, and again, that's why I'm showing you these things. These are the most common things you'll see in themes, like register sidebar, register nav menu. And the way you get familiar with how to use this, other than tutorials like this, is you look it up. You say, okay, register sidebar WordPress. If I were to Google that, you would see, okay, there's this function reference website. And you kind of need to just click through the first few websites to get a feel for it. And a lot of this stuff is daunting if you're new to coding, but there you go. There's an example. There's a default usage. So hopefully in combination with the WordPress documentation like this site and the tutorial you're watching right now, you'll start to get a feel for how to build custom themes and learn the best practices. That's the whole goal here. Okay, so I'm going to save this now, and I'm going to make sure my server is running. So you hit stop if it's not running, start it up, and then we go to this URL here and refresh. And we're in our admin section. I'm going to go to appearance, And then you'll see now there's this section called widgets that wasn't there before. And you'll see we have this little sidebar area. Okay, so just to illustrate, if I go back here and comment this out, all of this code right here, I'm just going to highlight it. You don't have to do this. I'm going to highlight it and comment it out. Command / will comment it. And if I save my file and go back here and refresh, you'll see there is no widgets page anymore. I have to hit back. If I go to appearance, there's no longer a widgets section over here on the left. Okay, so that's what happened here is we've initialized our widgets feature by adding this code here. So I'm going to uncomment that and save it. And then in the next video, we're going to learn how to start using our widgets areas. So if I save that, go back to the admin section and refresh, now we have our widgets menu item here. And I'll click on that. And we have this little sidebar area where we can start dragging and dropping various widgets into our sidebar.